Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the interesting observation from a former head of the polling group YouGov who drew comparisons with Boris Johnson's fall from grace this week with that of John Major nearly 3 decades ago. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, then please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, Boris Johnson's credibility and that of his party and government is taking a bit of a beating right now. In fact, it's taking a right hammering in the polls. And one polling expert said it was quite similar to Black Wednesday for John Major. Now, for those who don't live in the UK or don't remember, or are maybe too young, I have to bear in mind I am getting on a little bit now. Black Wednesday was the day in 1992, the year I did my GCSEs, when John Major's government were forced to pull the pound out of the European exchange rate mechanism at a cost of over £3 billion. And it was later revealed that the government could actually have made a serious profit from this had it been handled correctly, but cocked it right up. But that came out later. But the details are not the key point here. The point is that John Major did a thing that made him look like a right tit and exposed his government as being incompetent with economic affairs on this particular occasion. He suffered a loss of credibility very seriously, and it's quite a parallel with the very serious loss of credibility that Boris Johnson has suffered this week in sticking by the clearly guilty as sin Dominic Cummings. Not that it's the sticking by him that's the problem as such. Let's be clear, the major issue is that Johnson is trying to say that Cummings did nothing wrong. Had they at least admitted he'd done nothing wrong, it would have massively have taken the sting out of this. But the really curious parallel drawn by Peter Kellner, the polling expert, is that John Major suffered Black Wednesday 23 weeks after winning his landslide majority in the 1992 general election. Boris Johnson has also suffered this battering to his national credibility. Yep, you guessed it, 23 weeks after he won a landslide general election victory. Now, I'm not going to say that history repeats itself quite so perfectly, but in the following general election, which was 4.5 years later after Black Wednesday, that did produce a landslide Labour victory. Just saying, just putting that out there. Though not with the guy who was Labour leader at the time, so not a perfect mirror. But the really interesting thing is that Kellner noted that the economy improved by the time the next election came round. You know, the problem was the economy, the economic handling, the economy improved, but Major never regained his credibility. In other words, the thing that caused Major to lose his credibility in the first place was fixed, but he couldn't shake off the stench of his colossal failure in the eyes of the public. John Major couldn't be trusted, and so many who voted Conservative in 1992 switched to Labour in 1997 because being told by the Tories that you can't trust Labour with the economy rang a little bit hollow after such an economic clangor. Now with Boris Johnson, I mean the economy may well end up being a black mark against his name, but in this particular case it's not so much economic handling as his judgment, his personal judgment when it comes to his most senior aide. He's just told the British public that we were fools for following the rules. Even if Cummings is sacked now, which technically is fixing the problem to an extent, there is the very strong possibility, and I would say probability, that the stench of that poor judgment on the part of Boris Johnson will never go away in the public's mind. That being said, I don't think the Conservatives are going to make the same mistakes they did 30 years ago. At the time, they kept faith with John Major. I mean, his MPs largely respected him and certainly trusted him. It's not really true of Boris Johnson, and there's no way that even if it were before this, that they are going to let him repeat the party's failure, which ended their grip on power for 13 years actually. Yeah, it was 13 years, sorry. And then when they did get back into power, it was only in coalition with a leader who did unspeakable things to Porcine in his youth, and is now run by the Milky Bar Kid's creepy older uncle. But there it is. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, then please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.